Today I want to address with you the success addiction. Time to let go. Everybody, welcome back to Reason for Truth. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo. You know, Reason for Truth. Truth comes first, reasons last. But we're always constantly learning in our digital world. So we stop learning, we stop teaching, or at least stop teaching well. And there's lots of digital content, like too much. So we're going to try to give you some of the best, all right? Well, the harsh truth is that buildings decay, they fall down, so do people. All right, enough said. Cars grow old and they rust out. Professional titles fade and go away. Sometimes they even change or just are deleted altogether. And professional designations and positions, they come and go. So in the end, nobody will remember who you and I are and who we were in years to come. That's true. Well, who's your great-great-great-grandfather? Well, in some African nations, they can actually go back 10 generations. But for the most of the world, we can barely remember. We just know our parents and grandparents. King Solomon in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Scriptures, said this, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward. For the memory of them is forgotten." Ecclesiastes 9:5. Do you get that? Read that for yourself. The memory's forgotten. You know, when Nixon died, Chuck Colson said, you know, when Nixon died, the world hiccuped. When you and I die, the world's not even going to take notice. It's the way it is. We're not that important, folks. But this is not bad news. In truth, about who we are as being made in God's image. And in view of God's eyes, I think that we're much more. But I think we have to take a view of life in the eternal, not necessarily the temporal. The good news is that while our efforts and how we use our resources, efforts, our opportunities, wealth, and time are forgotten on earth, they're never forgotten in eternity or in God's eyes. Before God, they're not forgotten. With all those that we worked with, yet we helped, fellowship, maybe spiritually assisted. Listen, for both good and bad, I think that all that stuff's going to be accounted for. Now, the blood of Christ for Christians makes their sins white as snow, but we still have to answer for the good and bad, and I think we'll see in eternity how our decisions were used for God's good, and when we failed to do the right thing and listen to God. Now, letting go of our power, wealth, and position is one of those problems, and it's essential as we grow older to let go, pass the baton. We're called to pass that baton on to the next generation and not have our position, authority, wealth pried out of our age and dead hands. Right? So our letting go is simply giving up what we cannot keep in the first place, what is beyond our control, and in turn embracing what we are able to constructively work with and change. And Billy Graham wrote a whole book on this. He was 92 or 94 when he wrote it. But he said, you know, at any age, you can make a difference for the kingdom and be productive and have mission. And you're not going to be like when you're 20, of course, but there's always something you can do. And he went out just that way. Great man, a great man. And in heaven, he's seeing the fruits of his labor. Now, in Isaiah 43, verses 18 and 19, God said to his people through the prophet Isaiah, said this, "Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing what? A new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." It's in the ESV. So what does all this mean? I mean, what is Isaiah saying? The point is found in one verse which says, "Do not remember the former things of old. Behold, I will do what? A new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it?" In other words, God is always doing a new thing. We all, listen, a lot of people want, especially the affluent and the wealthy, want to live forever. I mean, some of these people have frozen their bodies thinking that they can be brought back 100 or 1,000 years later. They're still sitting in some dry, some kind of containment center where they're frozen. Now, sadly, for many people with power and influence, releasing their privileged position of power and prestige is difficult. I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. ESV. Rivers in the desert. That's pretty rare, right? Deserts are pretty dry with no water. The key takeaway is that God is doing a new thing. Things that we've never seen before. River in the desert, that's a new thing. At some point in life, God's going to do things very differently, not the way we necessarily expect God to do. But we are all expected by God to give up what we can't keep and control and embrace or managed properly. So I hope you will read this passage, the chapter, and the book in full. See what God's doing in your life, right? Reflect on that in prayer. And that's going to help you in your own success in the present and for eternity. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reason for Truth. Appreciate that. I hope this really impacts you on success and seeing that, listen, time to let go. There's a time to grasp onto things. But this truth, the bottom line is that God has great things for us in as much as we have capacity. So thank you for tuning in. Makes you do a few things. You need to get more equipped. Go over to equippedacademy.com or christianonlinetraining.com. And then make sure before you leave, just hit that little like button, hit the subscribe. Bam! Goncio Sinistro. And share this with your friends. Share the love. All right. God's blessing to you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo, and this is your Reason for Truth for today.